right. I think we're going, buddy.
Sweet. Let's go.
We'll wait a minute for folks to get in. If anybody's coming in for the Wyndham tonight.
Wyndham Championship, one of my favorite weeks of the year, Joe.
I like this tournament. I actually do. Welcome into the Turn Fancy Golf Podcast. I'm here with my buddy Josh Bennett, sitting in for AP. Thanks for joining us, Josh. AP
Sure thing.
playing the Tennessee State Amateur today, first round. So we'll be pulling for you tomorrow, AP. Come back Central, we're gonna make the cut.
Right.
But we got Josh with us tonight. I'm Joe Nicely. We appreciate y'all joining us. We're gonna dive into the Wyndham Championship here very soon. Rocket Mortgage, Josh. Tony Finau going back to back. He won up in your neck of the woods up in Minnesota a couple weeks ago, and took another one down in Detroit, going back to back, doubling his career win total in a span of 2 weeks. Cam Young, I think a guy that a lot of people like, was up there. Taylor Penrith, another exciting young player up there. Did you get to watch much of the Rocket? Got any takeaways from Tony going back to back?
I watched a little bit of it. I was actually split my time a little bit. I watched a little bit of the Live Golf event, which is
okay.
I enjoy myself. That's a whole another can of worms to get into, but yeah, the Tony thing's interesting because it actually reminds me a lot of something Rory's been saying a lot recently, in that you just have to keep playing and giving yourself chances, and eventually it will just happen. There's a lot of people. I actually just tweeted something kind of similar to this like an hour ago or so. A lot of people that tout names across the industry that love to tell you not to play somebody or not to bet somebody outright because they don't think they know how to close a golf tournament. And if you play a bunch of golf or know how competitive golf works, a lot of times like that means nothing. Like when you're in a very competitive environment like that with so many good golfers, sometimes people just beat you. And a lot of times when Tony's in contention, it's not that he plays bad, it's other people have played better. So it's all he had to do is just keep giving himself chances and chances and chances. Eventually something like this is going to happen. He's elite. He hits the ball super far, hits it super close. If he goes on a run and makes some putts for a few turns, he could win like 5 tournaments in a row because he's that good. It's just the part where you just got to keep giving yourself chances, and eventually it will just happen. That's what happened here. I don't think it had anything to do with he had to learn how to win or anything like that. He's been an elite golfer for most of his life. He knows how to win. He knows how to shoot low scores when it matters, when there's pressure. It was just a matter of time before something like this happened. So it was sweet, and I'm actually glad it happened, so we can stop listening to everybody tell us that he can't close golf tournaments, because he obviously can.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little bit of positive regression, right, towards the mean.
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, he's played such high quality golf for the last several years. I mean, you kind of felt like something like this was coming. We can also talk about the field strength. But in the past, he's kind of struggled in these weaker fields where we feel like he should be piling up wins. So
Right.
things finally went Tony's way. Really good to see that, man. He's a good dude. I've been pulling for him for years. I know
I'm with
a lot
you.
of folks like Tony. So good to see him kind of add to his win total, kind of get it going in the direction we feel it should be.
He's gonna be a popular play at the Masters now. He's probably gonna be very popular now.
Yeah, my problem is I've played Tony, I believe, in every major this year, and he's played his worst golf in the majors.
Yeah,
so that's kind of how I run with Tony. I bet the guy outright for like 3 years straight, and then finally got off last year at the Northern Trust. So this year I'm firing him up in majors. He's playing horrible, and I don't play him in regular tournaments, and he starts winning. So
that's how it goes, Joe.
Kind of sums up my year, man, and my and my track record with Tony. But still pull for the guy. Good to see him play well. You mentioned Liv, man. Anything you want you want to touch on there? I know some folks are watching, some folks aren't. Some folks are just kind of keeping up with it for the tabloid or entertainment value. Henrik Stenson, uh, pretty impressive, all-time Hall of Fame petty move. Takes
Oh
the
yeah.
money, dumps the Ryder Cup, and then wins his first start at the Live event. So, anything you want to toss in? You said you watched a little bit of it.
I've actually watched all of them, and I think a lot of people hate it. There's the political aspect to it, and there's the it's disrupting golf aspect that people are like, no, that's not cool. Don't do that to my sport.
Seemed
But
seemed seemed very politically
yeah,
charged this week. I guess
it
the whole
did, and
Trump thing.
I think that's a really quick way to kill the league. By the way, I think if you start bringing politics into anything, it can really kill the excitement of it. So if we just put all that aside, which is hard to do, but I can. So watching it to me is it's different and it's new, and I think it's kind of fun. And maybe that's because I haven't been playing golf since I was 3 years old. I've only been playing and involved in golf for 8 years, something like that. So I don't have the big long history where like the Masters is my favorite event because I've been watching it since I was 2 with my dad and blah blah blah. So it's fun for me because it's a new format. The team thing's kind of fun. The players are now pretty good. Like I love watching Bryson play golf. It's not a surprise to anybody that listens to me talk about golf or tweet about golf. I love Bryson. Just let the broadcast is new and it's exciting. There's colors and sounds and all types of things going on. The golf shots are all over the place. It's just different. There's different things going on, and I can see how it does not appeal to a lot of people that are very traditional about golf. But they're really honestly, they're not even appealing to those kinds of people. They're trying to appeal to the younger crowd that wants to blare their music on the golf course and wants to just see a bunch of shots. They don't care about the backstories of the golfers. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just want to see a whole bunch of things going on the screen at once and then waste only 4 or 5 hours and then be done. Whereas, PGA Tour, if you're going to watch the whole thing, you're wasting like 9-10 hours. So it's new, it's different, it's exciting, it's fun. It'll turn people off. It'll bring people in. I personally like it. I can see how people don't. Yeah, but and again, if you're going to try to enjoy it, you really have to try and put the politics stuff aside because it's there. But if you just take it in the context of golf and you can accept that it's something different and new, I think you might enjoy it, honestly. So
yeah, I've watched a little bit of each one. I'm kind of in limbo with it, man. I think anybody that watches this show knows I've been pretty frustrated with the PGA Tour and a lot of the things they do for several years. So, that frustration hasn't been enough to make me kind of jump on the live thing. Because when I watch it, it just feels kind of like empty calories. Kind of like it doesn't matter.
it is a little gimmicky at times, I think.
Yeah. And not to say that, there might be something there that could grow. I mean, the team thing could eventually be interesting. I don't think it is right now because they're like changing teams every week and everything. But
yeah, there's nothing to grasp onto there. I think they're planned for the future where they're going to have the set teams with the ownerships of the teams and have different types of advertising and stuff like that. I think if you can set a team and have people root for one team that has the same players on it, then I think that's interesting. Even if and actually the teams can change. Like obviously the football, the basketball, those teams have trades and stuff. So that might even be exciting too, to have teams and then have people being traded for certain dollar values and stuff. That could be interesting. So I think they can do a lot with that team stuff. I think you're right.
Yeah, there. I mean, I think there could be something there with that aspect of it. But I mean, even the Rocket Mortgage, man, which, I'm glad there's a tournament in Detroit. And that's actually been a pretty good tournament since it started.
Mm-hmm.
But even the Rocket Mortgage felt like it had so much more weight to it. To me, it felt like, it was so much more important watching Tony Finau get a win than Stenson. But That's
Yeah.
just me. Everybody's got their
Yeah.
thoughts on it. It's part of our world now. So,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
The money part plays a big part in people's brains too. I mean, that's
yeah,
we're watching it and knowing that they have all this guaranteed money, which by the way is very similar to other sports. So this isn't like this
sure.
is a something that isn't that is something that's abnormal. This is guaranteed contracts are normal in all sports other than golf.
Right.
So the money thing is interesting when you watch it. You know that they're playing, and when they're done, they're going to have more money in their bank account just because they were there. Which, again, it will turn some people off. But one thing that it does do, the money thing and just the whole league in general, no arguing that it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's average, it will and has already for sure change how the PGA does things and will for sure make it better. So whether it ends up crashing and burning and dying in 5 years, or maybe the PGA Tour and Live end up working together somehow, I think there's a way to do that, to be honest with you. But no matter how Live turns out, they have done something that will make the PGA Tour better in the long term, no matter what. So actually, you could just say Live is probably good for golf just because it's going to make the PGA Tour better somehow, some way. I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I don't know that it's making. I don't know that in the short term it's going to make golf better for fans.
Right, for
Because
sure.
we are going to see
The
these guys
product.
split up. Yeah, the product's going
Yep.
to be kind of watered down on both sides, but in the long term, you're probably right. Probably a good thing. Probably will improve the sport overall because the PGA Tour is going to be forced to make some changes.
Exactly. Yep.
I just hope they don't try to emulate Live too much. Honestly,
I
I kind of
agree.
wish they would. I kind of wish they'd go the other way and lean into the competitiveness of the PGA Tour.
Yep.
Bring these young guys up quicker. We talked about Cameron Young, Taylor Pendrith last week. We'll talk about some guys this week for the Wyndham. But I wish they'd kind of lean into the competitive aspect of what they have, the depth that they have. The depth of talent is unbelievable on the PGA Tour right now.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's something that they'll be forced to kind of fast track a lot of these younger guys. Maybe push some of the older guys to the side, the ones that aren't jumping to Live. But we'll
Right.
we'll kind of leave that there. We'll dig into the Wyndham. We'll
Do
head
it.
to North Carolina this week, man. It's the regular season finale on the PGA Tour. Top 125 move on next week to Memphis for the playoffs. Top 125 lock up their PGA Tour cards next year. So a lot to play for this week. There's some guys on the bubble in the field. Live, that's another thing that's going to be affected. The FedEx Cup point standings. So we'll see how that all shakes out after this
Mm-hmm.
week. But give me your thoughts, man. We're going to Greensboro, North Carolina, Sedgefield Country Club, a longtime host of this event, the Wyndham Championship. A Donald Ross design. We saw a Donald Ross design last week in Detroit. Another one this week, a short golf course, Josh, 7,131 yards, par 70. Give me your thoughts, man. You do course breakdowns for us over at rotoballer.com every week. So tell me a little bit about Sedgefield.
Sure. My impressions of it when I watch it on TV and when I look at it when I'm doing the write up for Rotoballer is it actually seems kind of boring to be honest with you. It's like you said, it's pretty short and
Pretty paint by numbers golf course.
exactly. Yep. So it's pretty short, but the short does a lot of times when we say a golf course is short, we start thinking, oh, bombers are going to start crushing the course. Not how this course works. There's if it's obviously take out the par threes, the rest of the holes, there's half or more of minimum half, maybe more, that they don't even take drivers out of their bag. So they're just hitting fairway woods and irons off the tee into whatever specific spots that is ideal for the course and then play from there. So we're not talking
Henrik Stenson, not to cut you off, Josh, when you said
yeah,
that, it just made me think. Henrik Stenson won here, I think it's 2017, and this is documented. He literally never hit driver all week.
he hit his 3-wood every hole, I think, or
He
less.
never hit driver that week.
Yeah, and I've seen
so.
some caddies tweeting around that they said like people can literally just not bring a driver to the golf course if they don't want. So when I say it's boring, that's kind of how I think of boring golf. Is we don't see these guys bombing drivers and hitting it way out of bounds because they mess up their driver. They're all just kind of dinking things out into the fairway for the most part, and then they have whatever yardages they have left into the green. They're all, for the most part, they're all playing from the exact same yardages on the course throughout the whole play. So we don't have well, obviously Bryson isn't playing, but I'll just use Bryson as an example. We don't have Bryson out here hitting it 390 yards and having 80 yards in, and then Kevin Kisner's out here hitting it 280 and has 170 in. Everybody's hitting it 250 and has 150 in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 150 to 175. 27 points, 27% of the approach shots come from 150 to 175.
Yeah, and
that's a huge amount.
Yeah, and honestly, Joe, most of the time when stats like that are given, I usually look at that and I go, cool, but that might not necessarily mean that's how the course plays or how each individual golfer plays, because a lot of times that will just give you the average, like the average driving distance golfers that kind of sit in the middle. It's not going to tell you how the Brysons, the Adam Scott hits it really far, how the long hitters hit it, was Will Zalatoris, versus the Kevin Kisners and the other short guys. It doesn't, if you're picking a bucket range like that, it doesn't necessarily tell you how they are going to play the course. But in this course, I think you're right, because I think everybody just hits it into the same spots and they're all going to be playing from the same yardages. So normally I probably would have gave you some crap about that, but I think you're right. I think there's a specific range of the 150 to 175 that you can just target and get a good idea of who's going to be good.
I rarely toss those out there like that, but
yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty straightforward golf course. Yep. 8 par 4s of 400 to 450 yards, and there's only so many ways you can play 8 par 4s of 400 to 450 yards. Yep. So we are seeing a lot of shots, approach shots, fall into that bucket because, as you mentioned, guys are aiming for spots off the tee. Rough's pretty penal, and this is one of the few times a year, Josh, where just giving basically no credence to distance off the tee.
Yep. Very few amount of times. Yep.
Which really brings the entire field into play. In a way, we saw a 6-man playoff here last year. Jim Herman won here a couple of years ago. So this is a golf course that kind of crazy things can happen because it is relatively short.
Yep.
A guy can go out there and hit a ton of fairways, a ton of greens, make a bunch of putts, and we can see some guys come out of nowhere to win this golf tournament. But if you're ready, man, we'll dive into the slate. We got a pretty interesting. No real superstars this week. You could make that argument about Will Zalatoris.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get that first PGA Tour win. He's at the top of the scale at 10-9. No one over 11K this week.
There wasn't last week either, was there?
I don't think so. Tony was right there.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. And kind of a similar field. This one's much deeper than last week, I'd argue.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the 8K and up. But above 10K, we got Willie Z at 10-9. Webb Simpson is a course history beast. We can touch on that at 10-7. Shane Lowry 10-6. Sungjae 10-5. Billy Horschel 10-3. Give me your favorite play up here, Josh, and maybe someone that you're not too crazy about up here this week above 10K.
Sure. Definitely my favorite play is Sungjae. And I don't know if you're aware, Joe, but I run a model every week and I tweet it out.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes,
he is number one in the model. And basically what the model is it's a course fit model. So it does kind of what we were talking about there. It takes into account where all the tee shots are going to be, and then it does some math on how all of the players play from those specific distances. So the distance you mentioned, 150 to 175, I believe, has a bunch of shots from there, and Sungjae is real good from there. And so he shoots up the model, ends up at the top of the model for me. I agree that range is really good. And if I call it a course fit model, the first thing I do is look at the names and then go look at course history. We got Sungjae 24th, 9th, and 6th. So
yeah,
I don't see a way to stray away from that. And if you're only looking at course history, by the way, obviously Webb Simpson is somebody to look at, but
Sung Jae,
if
66.42 career scoring average here for Sung Jae. That's even better
yeah,
than Webb.
that's good. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean he's been awesome here, as you mentioned. It seems like the course seems like a great fit for him. And
Yep.
in addition to that, he's coming off his best ball striking week of the year at the 3M a couple weeks ago. Gained 10.7 strokes tee to green up in Minnesota, which was his best mark of the year. So I'm with you, man. Sung Jae's my favorite. The course history with Webb is just ridiculous.
It is. It's nuts.
It's baked into his price. Based on his form, Webb shouldn't be priced up here.
No,
he should probably be, generously closer to 9K. And
I
maybe
agree
even below
sure.
that with the form. But the course history's sick. I've been doing this since 2018. His career strokes gained total mark here is 60.4. That's the best I've ever seen since I've been doing this.
That's nuts.
It's double the guy that's second in the field, which is Billy Horschel, the strokes gained total in this event. So just to give you some perspective, he's gained twice as many strokes total here as the next best player. So it's just unbelievable.
And that's going to be a wild battle in DFS between the course history guys and the recent form guys, because it's the course. Obviously, the course history is nuts, and the recent form for Webb is also nuts bad.
Yeah,
for the most part. So we're going to find out based on what the ownership number is, how important to DFS course history or recent form is, or I guess depending on what his projected ownership is, if that matters at all. But we're going to find out quickly which one matters most to people, because this is a big fight, I think. And
it's
I'm leaning towards form, by the way, on him. So I think I'm going to not play him, but I'm also not going to tell people you shouldn't play him because of his history. I think you can I think you pick either way, whatever you believe, and let it run.
Yeah, here's the thing with Webb for me. I wrote him up this week in my Horse for the Course article, which is,
you better have.
Based on course history. Obviously, he's in there, but and that's kind of what you said. Is kind of exactly what I said in the article. It's a very interesting case study in game theory and in course history. Kind of to see course history versus recent form, how that plays out this week with Webb, and the ownership. And I kind of came to the conclusion in the article that I'll probably let ownership dictate what I do with Webb this week. I mean, if it looks like he's going to be super popular, I'll be underweight, and vice versa. If it looks like people are kind of scared to pay this inflated price point, I'll probably jump on. If it looks like folks aren't, I mean, we've seen some flashes from Webb, like last week in Detroit had a 66 first round, I think. Travelers a few weeks ago had a 64 there, I believe, in the first round also. So, I mean, we've kind of seen, some flashes that make you want to think it's possible. And if there's going to be a breakout, you feel like it's here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Webb's really interesting this week. But I think I agree with you, Josh. Sung Jae would be my favorite play up here at the top of the board. Yeah. Maybe my fade is Willie Z, man, which is kind of crazy to say. I'm probably the biggest Will Zalatoris fan there is, but this golf course really mutes his advantages, really doesn't suit his strengths, which is long, tough, hard golf courses, that require driving the ball really well and really long, and ball striking. And I don't know that this course just suits those strengths. I mean, I want a Zalatoris at Augusta National, at Torrey, at Bay Hill, on hard golf courses. You got any thoughts on Willie Z?
Yep, I do, because I was going to say the exact same thing for dang near the exact same reason. His advantage is obviously his length and his ball striking. His advantage, which I don't think a lot of people talk about, maybe they don't even know, is how he strategically plays a golf course. And that's, his driving is so good because of how he plays the strategy off the tee with, obviously he's a decade guy. And I think on a course like this, like you said, it gets neutralized because everybody's just hitting it into the exact same spot. They don't have to map out a course and say there's trees here, there's a bunker here. Now I have to strategically figure out what club I need to hit on this hole or that hole or whatever to be in the optimal position. The optimal position is the same for everybody. And so I think when he's sitting in the exact same spot as Kevin Kisner, and Kisner and Zalatoris hitting 7s and 8 irons into the same green, the dispersion is for the most part not going to be too terribly different. Will hit it closer on mostly because he's a little bit better ball striker, but the dispersion won't be too nuts. And then the difference there is which one of those two is rolling in the putts.
Sure. Yeah.
Kisner's the one rolling in the putts. So
yeah,
I'm with you. Of all the dudes up there, I think Will's the guy I gotta get off of, just because exactly what you said. His advantages are just kind of neutralized on a course like this.
Yeah, and we're not saying the guy can't win.
No, I mean, no, of course not.
He's a terrific player. I mean, kind of like Tony Finau last week. I mean, he's probably the class of this field as far as tee to green play. But I don't know that this course suits his strengths. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably, if I got to pick one, I'm probably fading Willie Z up there. Just to touch on Billy Horschel, great course history, and he's had a great year. So I don't personally like spending this type of 10.3K salary on Billy Horschel, but I can understand it if someone wanted to go there this week.
His recent form actually isn't super great though. He finished second 21st at the Open, right? But I mean, he's got a whole bunch of missed cuts recently, other than his win at the Memorial. So
yeah, I mean, Billy's
early on in his season,
he's a streaky guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's always a streaky guy. So I mean, anything can have that brings itself back to, I don't like paying 10-3 for Billy Horschel.
I don't like to either. But,
he relies on the putter so much, but he does have strong course history here. Has played well at this golf course. Had a couple top fives over 9 starts. Really good scoring average here. So don't hate the play. It's just probably not one for me. But as we get down the 9Ks, I think this is kind of where we see some differences between the last couple of weeks and this week. Is the strength of this 9 and 8K range. Got Russell Henley, played really well here last year. Had a chance to win this golf tournament last year. Corey Connors, a guy kind of feels like he's been out of sight, out of mind a little bit lately, Josh. Terrell Hatton, Adam Scott, your man, and North Carolina native, East Carolina University alum, Harold Varner III there at 9K. He'll be a fan favorite this week. Give me your thoughts on the 9K range, Josh. Some great ball strikers in here. Some good course history, good course fits. What are you seeing in the 9s?
Yeah, so I think everybody in here, other than probably Tyrrell, I'm all right with. But I think I'm probably going to lean towards Connors. I have a tough time picking between Henley and Connors. I think Henley's probably a little bit better fit. He's got good form, good history. You mentioned that he had a chance to win last year, all that good stuff. So it might just be an ownership thing. And I don't even know what ownership will look like, but I'm guessing Henley's going to be higher than Connors, just because, like you said, nobody's really talking about Connors a whole lot recently. But and this may even go against what I just said about Zalatoris, but Connors is an insanely good ball striker. Can't roll in a putt, but from wherever he's playing from, he's going to hit the ball relatively close, and he's going to give himself a lot of chances to make birdies. So obviously, Will Zalatoris will do that too, but he's 10-9, and now we're talking about Connors, who's 9-6. So in this type of range, I think I'm just going to lean towards the guys that hit the ball really well. So I'm going to pick Connors over Henley because I'm concerned about Henley's ownership. And then I'm looking at, as you said, my guy, Adam Scott. over the course of however many years, if you just throw Tiger out, I don't know if there's a better ball striker than Adam Scott. So, and he's actually got some pretty good form, right? 37th, 15th, 14th. He's playing pretty good.
Yeah, playing probably his best golf of the year.
Yeah.
I like Adam Scott a lot this week. I know you like him on a regular basis. I've kind of been off this year. I've kind of been off this year, but willing to hop on this week because I like the form. Had a runner-up finish here last year. Was in that massive 6-man playoff last year.
Yep.
And he's been kind of lethargic, it seems, this year. I mean, I think a lot of people probably thought he was going to be one of the guys that goes to live, and may still be.
He still might, yeah.
I think maybe had that kind of hanging over him a little bit, but he had 2 really good but quiet finishes at top 15s at the U.S. and British Opens. And then he gained 6.4 strokes tee to green last week in Detroit. A really good ball striking week for him. And had the runner up here last year. He chose to come back. He doesn't, he's very, very particular about his schedule. So that kind of says something to me that he chose to play this event again. I think he likes the layout. So I really like Adam Scott here. Probably my favorite play in the 9K range. Something can be said for Connors and Henley, who I always like, but I'll probably lean Adam Scott here this week in this situation. Moving on into the 8Ks, man, a lot of depth here too. A lot of guys you feel like you can play. Denny McCarthy, our buddy John Hasselbauer, the PGA tout, has already stuck his flag in the ground on Denny McCarthy this week.
Yep, as has Joe Idoni, by the way.
Yep, Joe I. So we got the bandwagon is kind of rallying around DMAC this week. Siwoo Kim, player that I like, a former winner here. Kevin Kisner, winner here last year. Tom Kim at 86, he's kind of the shiny new toy. Really talented player. A lot of people like Taylor Pendrith coming off a big week in Detroit. Zadenhouse been solid this year. Brian Harmon's a veteran. JT Poston, former winner here. We got a lot of former winners in the 8K range.
Yeah.
And round out the 8K range with Aaron Wise and Davis Riley, 2 very talented young players. So seems like there's a lot to unpack here in the 8Ks, Josh.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts, man. There's a lot of directions you could go here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, when I was looking at this range originally, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm sticking right towards the top." You got Denny, obviously, that everybody's kind of on. His history is pretty good. He's been real good this year. Everybody likes him. Then you got Siwoo, who's winner, 2nd, 3rd, 5th. Pretty good form, 14th and 15th. Kiz, winner last year. Everybody's on the Tom Kim bandwagon. Everybody's on the Pendrith bandwagon. So I'm thinking about all this. I'm like, all these guys are probably going to be pretty owned because it kind of feels like people might just skip the 9Ks because, I mean, we kind of talked about it that we like the players there, but I'm not looking at any of those names like I have to lock those names in. Right. So I think probably what's going to happen is people are going to go to like a Webb, or they're going to, throw in Sungjae. They might skip the 9Ks and they're going to start right at the top of the 8s. They'll throw in 2 of them at the top. So I think ownership is really going to bleed into the high 8s and kind of pitter out in the 9s. So I think I'm going to start at the low 8K range and try and steal some low ownership there, because I think everybody's just going to kind of float to the top. I got 2 favorites names that you mentioned. Well, I guess you mentioned them all, but Bezuidenhout is one of my favorites here. And it's kind of the same reason I would like a Kevin Kisner, for example. You don't really have to worry about him off the tee, and you don't really even have to worry about his irons. He's really good around the greens and on the greens. So I think he'll be getting the ball on the green, and I think he can probably score it a bunch. And he's had a pretty good season too. People don't really talk about him a whole lot, but he's had a pretty good season, and he's 8,400. And then the other young guy you mentioned that I like, that I've heard a couple of people talking about, but I'm guessing isn't going to get a whole bunch of steam, is Aaron Wise. And I don't think he's going to get a whole bunch of steam just because of what his history looks like the last 3 years. He hasn't done quite well, and I think he missed a cut once. But I mean, again, pretty good season, young guy. It feels like his game probably fits the course. He hasn't really shown it obviously in the 3 years, but
He feels a
I kind of like
Wise
going down
feels
there
a
too.
Wise feels a little bit to me like kind of like a Willie Z light, like a poor man's Willie
Yeah,
Z. Like
sure.
so I don't know that I love him, but I mean I love him as a player, but I don't know that I love him on this course. I think his
Right.
course history
The
probably reflects that a little bit, right?
I think you're right. Yep. And that also might be true. And I do kind of think of them as like similar players, but this time I don't have to pay a 10-9 for a Willie Z. I
Yeah.
get to pay 8,100. So
Right.
that I
Yeah.
think that's where I draw the line a little bit there.
Yeah, and you know, you're getting legit top 5 upside with him at 81. I think a lot of people are going to go to JT Poston, former winner here.
For sure.
Has been playing terrific. Obviously picked up a win a few weeks ago. Looked good again in Minnesota. But around that win here, he's got like 3 missed cuts, I think, Josh, kind of sandwiched around that win here. So
Yep.
we know that Poston kind of lives and dies by the putter. So if he's a guy that's going to be extremely popular, wouldn't be scared to kind of make a fade there. If it looks like JT Poston and Siwoo are going to be the 2 most popular plays in the 8K range. Which I like. Yeah, I like Siwoo a lot. Like where his game is. I like him on this golf course. 3 straight top 5s here, and he's got a win back in the day here. So
Yep.
you have to love the course history, and he's looked solid lately. So very understandable why he's going to be popular, but we all know that Siwoo can kind of fall off a cliff at any time. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that.
It only takes a couple bad holes and he's done too. So it's and that's nothing you can predict either. That will just happen and then he'll be done. So
it feels like, strange as it is to say about a defending champ, but it feels like Kisner might be kind of under the radar here a little bit. It's coming off a miscut. So. Yeah. So I mean, maybe a pivot to Kisner makes sense. And then you got, you know, down at the bottom, very bottom of the range, you got Justin Rose, who's a vet, had a top 10 here last year, and Davis Riley, who's a really talented player. So some ties to the Southeast. He hasn't played well lately, but you know, these young
Davis
guys,
Riley's interesting.
Yeah,
because like you said, he's got the 2 missed cuts in a row, 3 missed cuts in a row, but before that, just lighting it up. He what tournament was it? Was it the 3M that he was super high owned and missed the cut? I think it was a 3M.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so
he was very popular. People like playing him in DFS. Had a really strong stretch of golf there around the PGA, the US Open. Played well.
And now everybody's off him again, but I think you can go back to him, honestly.
Yeah, it's an intriguing buy low spot with him.
Yeah, for sure.
If that ownership's down, I think he's a talented guy that's got a lot of upside. And man, we just see that out of young players. We just see inconsistency. It's just part of kind of finding your way on the PGA Tour. So it would be a bit surprising to see him play well this week. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Good call there on Riley. Move into the 7s, man. I'm not going to go through them all. There's too many guys to mention, and and there again, the depth of this field. I think you're kind of seeing some stark differences in last week when we get into the 7K range. I mean, there's some quality here. Mark Hubbard's shown some form lately. Scott Stallings, our boy, East Tennessee homie, playing very good golf.
Really good.
He's a streaky player, and he's kind of on one right now. And when he's firing, man, he hits as close as anyone. So, you know, I think you have to look at Stallings this week. Adam Long has played. He's kind of a journeyman type of player, but he's played exceptional golf lately. Racking up top 25s left and right. You got Chris Goddard up, kind of the up and comer that everyone loves. His calling card's distance, which is going to be kind of muted this week, basically all the way around. Probably hear a lot of people talking about Alex Smalley. He's a member at Sedgefield, lives in Greensboro. He went to Duke, so a ton of hometown ties for Alex Smalley this week. Had a T29 playing on a sponsors invite in this event last year. That led to him making the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. That led to him getting his PGA Tour card. So kind of a rich history with Alex Smalley in this event. Then you got Adam Svensson, a guy that's been playing really well. I think he's got 5 top 25s in his last 6 starts. So there's a lot to like there. And And as we move down to the bottom of the 7Ks, there's a lot of names we know, a lot of interesting players. So, kind of break it down for me, Josh. There's a lot of viable plays. It feels like in the 7K range this week. But who are you
Yep.
kind of zeroing in on, man?
Yeah. This range actually is. I think I'm going to attack it the same as I am the 8K range, and I think I'm going to stay away from the top of the 7K range because I'm just not sure I even like a whole lot of the guys. Like Mitchell Hubbard, Stallings is your guys' guy, but he hasn't played this tournament particularly well. Jason Day, I had no interest in him. Sorry, Spencer. But Munoz, Long, Streelman, even like all those guys. I don't ever play them, and I don't ever really see a reason to play any of them. If I'm going to start anywhere, I'm probably starting at Gotterup for the same reason everybody starts at Gotterup. He's just hitting the ball off the tee really good. Not that that matters, but just ball striking it really good. Well, one guy you can kind of look at, I think, is Brendan Todd. If you're just looking for a plotters type of guy,
yeah, for
he
sure.
He doesn't hit the ball very far, obviously, but
I'll see your Brendan Todd and I'll raise you a Ches Reavy.
Him too. Yeah,
he's another guy that's super accurate. CT Pan for that matter as well. Who was one bad drive away from winning this golf tournament a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
CT Pan. So yeah, I mean it's AP
Harris
and I
English
talk about
is
it a
probably
lot.
going to be popular in there. I think
AP and I talk about it a lot, man. On these short golf courses, it's where you can kind of get out the marker, man, and start circling these guys. You know, we would normally say a Kevin Na, but Brendan Todd, a Ches Reavy, CT Pan, these short hitters, a Kevin Kisner who won here last year. We've seen Brant Snedeker win here in the past. This is definitely the type of golf course where you the short hitters circle this one on the calendar
for sure. I think Kisner really has actually said out loud that he has certain tournaments where he just circles on the calendar and says, "I have like 4 chances to win throughout the year." And the Wyndham's one of them. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got the Wyndham Heritage at Harbortown, Colonial. You got a half dozen tournaments a year where these guys are, they really feel like they've got a chance to win. And I'd throw Kiz in there, Reavy, the guys we mentioned, Brendan Todd, who you brought up. So yeah, good points on that. So who are your favorites here, Josh, in the 7s?
So I honestly, I think I'm gonna stay towards the bottom. I just mentioned a whole bunch of those guys, but I don't know if any of them are my favorite. I think I'm gonna go with Nick Hardy as one of my favorites, and it's for a very similar reason that we just spoke about with Davis Riley. I think they play relatively similar games. He is also in a very similar situation with his recent form, where he was really good for a while and then bad for 2 weeks in a row. So I think people that were playing him are probably going to get off of him. So you want to call him a Davis Riley light if you want, 8,000 down to 73. I think I'm going to go with, I think Nick Hardy's probably one of my favorites in the whole range, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then just like a straight recent history or recent form play, just going all the way down to 7,100. Lee Hodges is just good. I think he's top 30s, top 15s, he's just making cuts, doing his thing. If you're getting dang near a guaranteed made cut at 7,100 in a field like this, I think you just have to lock that in. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think there's a lot of ways you can go down here, man. Matt Wallace has been playing good golf coming around. He's got a lot to play for this week. I think he's kind of on that. I believe. I think I'm remembering this correctly. He's kind of on that 125 bubble. Got a lot to play for this week.
The guy right under him is also on that bubble, by the way, Mr. Ricky Fowler.
Yeah, I don't even know where.
What are you doing with Ricky? You're not doing it.
I just can't do it, man. I tried. I tried earlier in the year. Just because I think I was kind of hopeful more than anything, but just not. There's just too many other good options. There's just no need to go there.
I agree.
I don't think. I like Michael Thompson there at 7K. Shown some form. This golf course suits his game. Smotherman's an interesting play. Just just because of the irons. And make no mistake, we've talked about, the Bombers are going to be kind of held back a little bit this week, but it's going to take a lot of birdies to win this golf
For
tournament.
sure.
We're talking 20 plus under consistently winning scores here. So these guys, we need some birdie makers in our lineups. I like Alex Smalley. Sticks out to me. I like Smalley in general, and I like the connections. I like the form with Adam Svensson there at 7,500. So I think there's some really solid options in the mid 7K range. I don't know that you have to go into the 6s this week, Josh, because there are so many good options in the 7s and 8s. But anybody sticking out to you in the 6K range? Anybody that's going to make you go down here this week?
I do. I think I'm just going to sneak into the 6Ks though with a couple guys. I think I'm going to start with Matthias Schwab. And the reason for that is I always start with Matthias Schwab, no matter what price he is.
Schwab.
I love him. And actually the reason for that is I play a bunch of Euro Tour, DP World Tour, DFS. I did in the past, and he was always really good there. Yeah. And the reason he was good is because of his ball striking and his scoring abilities. He hasn't quite shown that type of prowess on the PGA Tour. He's shown flashes of a little bit, but at 6,900 on a course where scoring is going to be important and hitting the ball close is going to be pretty important. I think he could kind of flash here and be good. I think he played 2020, finished 42nd, so it's all right, I guess. So I always start there, but I think the other guy I might go after is the good Rory Sabatini, also 6,900. Feels like he looks to be kind of a bomb or bust type of guy at this course in general. He looks like he finishes either top 10 or he misses a cut.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll lean towards him.
Had an ace like last week in Detroit, and no one clapped.
I'm surprised he's not a live guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I am too. I was actually thinking that when I saw the hole in one highlight. It's pretty surprising that he's not.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, a couple guys that just pop in the model that I run that are cheaper. I don't know if I'll touch them or not, but they're there. Cam Percy, 6,600. He withdrew last week, but he had 26 the week before that and plays here pretty good. Ryan Moore is on there as well, who has decent course history other than the last couple of years. And then Kelly Craft is on there too. I don't know anything about Kelly Craft, but he's there. So maybe I'll play with him.
Yeah, just kind of a journeyman, of a journeyman vet. Plays a lot.
Otherwise, I don't think I'm touching a whole lot of 6Ks like you said.
Yeah. Give me your thoughts. You touched on Matthias Schwab from the Euro Tour or DP Tour. You know anything about Yannick Paul there at 6,700? He's got T20s at Barbazal and the Barracuda. Plays mostly on the DP World Tour. He's from Germany. Do you know anything about Paul?
I know nothing about him.
Okay.
I see some history in here, but
he's had
nothing about him. I've never seen his name.
Pretty solid season on the DP World Tour. Played the Barbazal, played the Barracuda, T20s in both those. So, just kind of something different, maybe to toss out there at 6,700.
And nobody knows his name. You'll get him at less than 1% if you're looking for an ownership move.
Yeah, if you're in large field tournaments, just to name it though out there, pretty solid player that we just don't know a ton about. Yep. Justin Lauer down there is kind of interesting to me at 6,700. Pete Malnati, we see play well on these shorter golf courses. He's got a couple of top 25s in this event the last couple of years. We saw Piercy pop in Minnesota, and we saw him pop and then blow on Sunday, but he's made 4 straight cuts here. This is his type of track, fairway and green type of track. James Hahn catching a little heat on Twitter this week.
Oh yeah, big time.
Down here at 6,800, kind of makes it hard to defend the PGA Tour when you got guys like James Hahn out there.
Right. It might be the motivation if you play DFS or bet based on outside factors other than like how they actually hit the golf ball, like statistics or form or history. If you're playing based on motivation, just lock them in. There's no way he's going to that. He's going to that course trying to shoot 20 under on the first day just so he can go back on Twitter and tell everybody to F off.
Two things, Josh. Two things. James Hahn had a top 5 in Minnesota 2 weeks ago. And we just saw Henrik Stenson on the Ultimate Spot Tour win last week with kind of similar motivations. So circle exactly. James Hahn. We're James Hahn is the hate play of the week this week. 6,800. We come to that point in the show. You can say James Hahn if you want to, Josh. We're throwing out our dart play, which is our long shot play, and our heart play, which is who we think is going to win this golf tournament. Start with you. Give me your long shot. Give me your dark horse. Give me your dart play of the week.
I'm gonna throw a dart at the bad Rory, or the good Rory. Which one do you want to call it? The good Rory or the bad Rory?
The silver Slovak. We'll call him the silver medalist.
Yeah. And the only reason is because his history is either top 10 or miscut. So if he top 10s at 6,900, I mean, if you're playing GPPs, which I mostly play, that could basically win you the GPP. So Sabatini, I think, is my guy on there, as much as I love Matthias Schwab. You on my top play now too?
Yeah, give me your who's your heart telling you, man? Who's winning this week? No matter the price, no matter the odds, who's winning this thing?
Adam Scott. That's my guy.
Oh, I knew it.
Adam Scott.
I knew it. You boys are so predictable. Every time Byron's on here, he's taking Cam Smith. Every time Spencer's on here, he's taking Jason Day. Every time you're on here, it's Adam Scott. So.
Well, hold on. I've come a long way from trying to pick Webb Simpson every single week in the one and done contest. So
yeah, we did have a year.
My horizons.
We did have a year of Webb Simpson, so that you are making some strides. I'll give you credit on that one. Adam Scott, I like him, man. I do. I think he's heading in the right direction. He's a veteran. He starts kind of turning on this time of year, it seems. So played really good in the last 2 majors. I like the call. My dart play, I don't know if he's a dart. Ownership isn't looking too crazy yet, but Alex Smalley at 7,500. I just like Smalley, and I like the connection to the golf course. He's played some good golf this year, man. A lot of top 25s. Kind of sneakily played well. He's a tough player, so I'll go Alex Smalley as my dart. My heart play, I never say Sung Jae, so I'm going to say Sung Jae. I feel like I never play Sung Jae.
I like it. I was going to say Sung Jae, and I figured I didn't want to pick somebody that was going to be like one of the favorites.
Yeah, so he'll be popular. I mean, from a DFS perspective, I could understand if you wanted to pivot away, but there's just a lot to like. And when we really start boiling it down, he's played well at this golf course. And he's played well lately, coming off his best ball striking week of the year in Minnesota a couple weeks ago. So, but Sung Jae's unpredictable. I seem to always get him wrong. So, if you guys want to go the other way on that, totally understand. But we're gonna wrap things up. Huge shout out to Rotoballer.com for helping us get through this season. This is our last show of the regular season. But you can still sign up. We'll see if we can't get a discount for you through the playoffs. You can use our promo code TURN and apply that to any Rotoballer subscription. And you guys know how it is now, man. Wraparound. The new schedule just came out. This thing doesn't stop. So we'll be taking you all the way through winter with our coverage. Josh, Spencer, and I, Byron, our boy Rob G's pitching in over there, doing great with the Pivots article. So we'll get you through the winter. If you want to play some PGA DFS throughout football season, you can still come to rotoballer.com and catch articles, models, and advice for every tournament of the year. So we definitely advise you to go over there and check that out. Shout out to AP. Shout out to all our buddies over at Rotoballer, all the guys playing the Tennessee State AM this week over at Cherokee Country Club. Huge thanks to Josh. Appreciate you joining us, man. And thanks for filling in a couple weeks ago for me. I appreciate that. Thanks to Tyler Wyatt, our buddy here in Knoxville that filled in for me last week. I'm glad to be back and hope y'all do well at the Wyndham.